Latin from scratch, 21st class, the predicative complement. And here we have to be careful because at first it might be hard to spot. Like at first, like this complement, we might say this is many things, but no, it's not the other many things. It is predicative complement. Okay, so we have to learn how to spot it, how to identify. Okay, morphosyntax. The definition, again, this is kind of like this ghost definition, like technically it is correct, but then it like really doesn't say much. Okay, but okay. The definition of predicative complement might be hard to get, but we can summarize it as the conjunction, the union of two functions. The one of the attribute of a noun or pronoun, and the one of the adverbial of a verb. It is some kind of mix of both functions. Okay, probably you still didn't get anything, but try to just remember these two things. Attribute of a noun, remember, with copulative verbs like Gaius, altus, est. So altus is the attribute of Gaius. And then adverbial of a verb. Any kind of adverbial, usually manner. How do we do something? Okay? Now, let's continue. Now it's when we are actually going to understand what we are talking about. An adjective, and notice that here I say adjective because most of the times a predicative complement is an adjective. Later we will see that it can also be a noun, but most of the times it is going to be an adjective. Has a predicative function and refers to a noun. Okay, so a predicative refers to a noun or pronoun. Like most of the times that I say a noun, I mean noun or pronoun. Okay, and usually, I mean, it could actually be other functions, but 99.99% of the times is either the subject or the direct object. So we will be calling it predicative of the subject or predicative of the direct object. An adjective has a predicative function and refers to a noun or pronoun through a non-copulative verb. And this is very important, non-copulative, because remember that we said Gaius, altus, est. And est is a copulative verb. Now, the predicative is referring to another noun through a non-copulative verb. Okay, so again, still like all the ideas are floating in the air, but let's try to just keep them there, okay? Now we are going to put everything together. Therefore, it cannot be an attribute because attributes require a copulative verb. I never know if it's copulative or copulative, I don't know. Or an adverbial of manner. Despite the semantics, we are dealing with an adjective, not an adverb, okay? Adverbials, they have the nature of an adverb. That's why they are called adverbials, okay? But no, I mean, it might look by the semantics like from the meaning, we might think that it is some kind of adverb, but no, because we are dealing with an adjective, okay? We are always dealing with an adjective, unless it is a noun, like we are going to see later. It is also different from a regular adjective. Like, for example, if we say pulcra femina, so there is just like the beautiful woman. So we are not dealing with an attribute, we are not dealing with an adverbial of manner, and we are not dealing with a regular adjective. We are dealing with predicatives. Okay, so the predicative complement agrees in gender, number, and case. Remember that, for example, in the previous class with the apposition, we were saying that the case is obligatory, but the gender and number not necessarily. Here, yes, the predicative complement agrees in all the three things: gender, number, and case with the noun it refers to. Okay, so for example, imagine that we have puer ambulat laetus. The boy walks glad. So here we have puer is nominative, masculine, singular. So laetus is nominative, masculine, singular. And notice that this verb, walk, is not a copulative verb. It is not the verb sum. And yet we see that this is like one phrase, this is another phrase, and of course this is the verb. So this phrase refers to this phrase through the verb. Okay, so it's like this. And this is the subject, so this is the predicative of the subject. Okay? Now, notice I say here, we should not translate it the glad boy walks, because if we say the glad boy walks, then it would be a regular adjective. The glad boy does something. No, it is not that. And we should also not translate it as the boy walks gladly, because then gladly, you see that it has in English this "ly" ending, which is a way to form adverbials. I mean, a way to form adverbs in English. In this case, this adverb makes up an adverbial. So it is not the same. The boy walks glad, it is not the same as the glad boy walks or the boy walks glad. Okay, so that's, I mean, maybe all of this definition thing, it is more complex, it is more abstract to understand, but at least if we understand what it is not, like we eliminate all the things that it is not, then the surviving thing, it is the predicative. So there we have the predicative of the subject. Now we are going with the predicative of the direct object. No, we have the sentence, Senatus quintum fabium maximum dictatorem creavit, which we translate, the Senate appointed Quintus Fabius Maximus dictator. And here we cannot see it very well because there is precisely another line here, but here we see that there is this line here and now this line here, which means that this is a phrase and this is another phrase. So we have this phrase is the direct object and this is the predicative of the direct object. Okay, so we see that the Senate appointed who? Quintus Fabius Maximus, and they appointed him what? Dictator. And of course, dictator refers to Quintus Fabius Maximus. And if we go to the Latin sentence, we see that it is accusative, masculine, singular, accusative, masculine, singular. Agreement in all the three features. And now, be careful because the predicative of the subject eventually it is quite easy to understand and to spot. But then, like, for some reason, people have problems identifying the predicative of the direct object. But the predicative of the direct object, it's most of the times appear in similar structures, such as appoint somebody something, or somebody as something, or as some role. Consider that someone is something, which we can also say, consider someone something, like, or consider something something, no? Like, imagine, for example, I consider this TV big. So there we have consider something, the TV, a quality, big. So there we have, I consider the TV, direct object, big, the predicative of the direct object. And in that case, notice that if I say I consider this TV big, then big is an adjective. But for example, here, in cases such as the Senate appointed Quintus Fabius Maximus dictator, dictator works more like a noun. So this is kind of like the exception that I was referring to at the beginning. Like, most of the times it's an adjective, like the predicative is an adjective, but sometimes it can be a noun, like in this case. It's not like, for example, appoint someone dictator, appoint someone general, whatever. Usually it is roles, no? Like dictator, emperor, general, whatever. Okay, so that's it. That's the predicative complement. Again, I know that this is kind of abstract, but of course, how do we master things? By practicing. So now we go to the main page of the module and practice.